Learning something and being able to remember it comes down to just a few brain processes. And if you understand how the brain retains information, you can speed up the learning process and learn way more effortlessly than ever before. In this video, we'll go over the 5 best scientifically proven strategies for learning. And if you try just one of them, I guarantee you can improve your memory on anything you want to know. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Sanya. I study psychology and neuroscience. I like to make videos about the brain, so subscribe for more. Alright, so the first strategy is active recall, and it's one of the most powerful ways to learn. Instead of just passively rereading or highlighting, you actively try to remember the information without looking at it. So how can you use it? After reading a paragraph, pause and ask yourself, what did I just learn? Try to explain it in your own words. This helps the information stick and shows you where you have gaps in your understanding. Some very interesting research shows that actively engaging in retrieval practice is one of the most effective ways for reinforcing long-term memory. So why does this work so well? Let's take a look at the brain. Your brain is made up of billions of neurons, cells that communicate by sending electrical signals to each other. When you recall a memory, a specific network of these neurons has to fire together, like puzzle pieces snapping into place to form a picture. As neuropsychologist Donald Hebb famously said, what fires together, wires together. That means the more often the same neurons activate together, like when you recall a memory or a fact multiple times, the stronger their connection becomes, making it easier to spark that memory again in the future. So each time you use active recall, you are literally strengthening the pathways in your brain, much like making a muscle stronger the more you train it. Take a look at this photo. Now when I show you this one, what are you thinking about? I bet you're picturing the dog, right? That's because your brain just linked the concept of these glasses to the dog wearing them. And this is the exact principle behind strategy number 2, elaboration. Linking two concepts together so that thinking of one will automatically bring out the other. Studies show that when we link new information to something we already know, we make it much easier to recall. So how can you do it? Take a new idea and intentionally relate it to something you already know. It doesn't have to be similar, although it's best to be somewhat related. Let's say you're learning that mitochondria power your cells. You can link that to how an engine powers a car. There you go, you have two completely different concepts now wired together. But why does this work? Because your brain already has strong neural pathways for familiar concepts. When you attach new information to them, you piggyback on those strong connections. Kind of like taking a shortcut to get on the freeway instead of building a brand new road. Elaboration makes recall faster, smoother, and more automatic. In this book, cognitive scientist Daniel Willingham highlights elaboration as a core strategy for improving learning and memory. He emphasizes that we tend to remember the things we think about most deeply. So if you want something to really stick, techniques like active recall and elaboration are perfect ways to engage your brain. The next one is my favorite, teaching. Teaching others what you've learned is one of the best ways to reinforce your own understanding. It forces you to organize your thoughts, identify gaps in your knowledge, and explain concepts clearly, which significantly strengthens memory. So how can you use it? Find a friend and teach them what you've learned. It's best if they don't know much about the topic, as this will prompt them to ask questions. You can even explain the material to an imaginary audience. Think about the questions they might ask and try to answer them. Break down complex ideas into simpler parts and use examples to clarify. So why does teaching work so well? Teaching activates brain regions like the prefrontal cortex, the hippocampus, and the parietal cortex. These regions help you focus, retrieve information, and understand how different pieces of knowledge fit together. Ever heard the saying, if you can't explain it to your grandma, you don't really understand it? When you teach, you organize the information in a way that makes sense to others, and that helps organize it in your brain as well. In 1885, Hermann Ebbinghaus came up with the forgetting curve. The idea that as time goes by, we forget more and more of what we've learned, eventually only remembering around 10% of the information. But the good news is, there are things you can do to flatten the curve and remember more. One of the most effective ways to do this is by practicing spaced repetition. This amazing strategy involves revisiting information at increasing periods over time. So how can you implement it? Begin by learning the material you wish to memorize. Then review the material after a short interval, such as 10 to 20 minutes. Gradually increase the intervals between each session. For example, review after 1 day, then 3 days, a week, 2 weeks, and so on. You can use flashcard applications like Anki or Quizlet, which are designed to help you schedule reviews based on your performance. Spaced repetition is widely considered one of the most scientifically proven strategies for improving memory and learning efficiency. When we first learn something, it's stored into short-term memory and it can be easily forgotten. However, by reviewing the material at increasing intervals, we give our brain multiple opportunities to transfer that information into long-term memory. Alright, so the last technique, technique number 5, is testing. Testing yourself isn't just about checking what you know. It's one of the most powerful ways to lock information into your brain. Many times we think it's about how many times we reread the information, but what actually matters is exposing yourself to the material, staying focused during that time, and then actively testing yourself, ideally more than once. This process strengthens the neural circuits responsible for that knowledge, making the memory more durable and easier to recall later. Let's say you're studying about a specific period in history. Sit down and ask yourself questions like, what major events or discoveries happened during that period? Who was the ruler at that time? What did they do? If you catch yourself not knowing something, go back and look it up, but then continue asking yourself questions. And if you get something wrong, even better. Making mistakes does not mean we're failing to learn. It means we are learning. It's all part of the process, it's normal and it's necessary. And the research backs this up. Mistakes trigger a kind of mental spotlight. Your brain pays closer attention, which helps you remember the correct answer even better than if you had gotten it right the first time. So there you have it, these are the 5 techniques. However, even if you study hard all day long and you apply all of these techniques, none of it will really stick until you sleep. While you're off dreaming about having tea with Napoleon, your brain is hard at work, consolidating everything you've learned. Earlier we talked about how learning involves reordering and strengthening of brain connections, but sleep is when your brain goes into save mode. It sorts through the day's information, decides what's worth keeping, and strengthens the important neural pathways. It's like your memories are being sorted, labeled, and filed into long-term storage. Super efficient, but there's more. Throughout the day, as your brain engages in thinking, focusing, and learning, your neurons generate byproducts, essentially cellular waste from their constant activity. Over time, if these waste products accumulate, they can get in the way of smooth communication between neurons, much like a traffic jam that slows you down when you're in a hurry. However, during deep sleep, your glymphatic system kicks in and cleans everything up, giving your neurons a fresh, clean slate for the next day. So yeah, if you're pulling all-nighters and wondering why you can't think and nothing's sticking, now you know. Sleep isn't optional, it's essential for learning. So aim for 7 to 9 hours of high quality sleep, fuel your brain with good food, manage your stress levels, and most importantly, enjoy the learning process. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what's your favorite learning strategy and subscribe for more videos like this. If you'd like to know how much you can improve your memory, watch this video right here. I'll see you there.